Welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into a really compelling analysis by Dr. Affan Kaiser that tackles the absolute explosion of vape culture. We're going to zoom in on how fast this trend has spread and, more importantly, its very real and honestly highly ignored impact on the human body. So whether you're seeing these devices literally everywhere you go, or maybe you even use one yourself, this breakdown is totally going to change how you look at the quote-unquote modern cigarette. Let's get into it.
Dr. Kaiser frames the whole discussion around this super powerful quote: after every spectacle, a new spectacle. And what he means by that is, we really shouldn't be looking at vaping as some brilliant, safe, technological breakthrough. Actually, it's just the latest dangerous trend in our very long, very repetitive history of smoking. You know, it's like a cycle. The second one dangerous habit gets totally exposed, we just replace it with a brand new, shinier spectacle.
Okay, so moving right into section 1, the new vaping culture and the rise of the modern cigarette.
It's wild to think about how these devices went from being these weird niche tech gadgets to just a total youth obsession. And if you want to understand how, just look at how easy they are to buy. Take Pakistan, for instance. You can grab one for roughly 4,000 to 5,000 rupees. That is highly accessible. They're sweet-smelling, brightly colored, and totally disposable. They've just flooded the market, making it incredibly easy for teenagers and young adults to literally pick them up anywhere.
And because they look so sleek and smell like, fruit or candy, people are actually treating them like stylish accessories. Holding a vape has somehow turned into a widespread fashion statement. It's totally detached from that old, negative stigma we associate with smoking. I mean, nobody looks at a bright pink, strawberry-scented vape and immediately thinks of a gross, dirty ashtray, right? And that's exactly why this culture has been adopted so effortlessly.
That brings us to section 2, the myth of harmlessness and what vapers actually believe. When Dr. Kaiser talks to his patients, he hits this crazy psychological wall. Vapers will firmly defend the habit. They'll say, well, there's no raw tobacco, there's no terrible smell, there's no tar. Since those classic red flags of smoking are missing, they genuinely believe the whole thing is completely harmless. They just see it as flavored water vapor. No big deal, right? Well, medical science tells a drastically different story.
Let's look at that reality in section 3, the hidden medical risks, the reality inside the body.
If you strip away that fun, colorful packaging, the medical reality is pretty grim. Vaping sets off some severe biological consequences. For one, we're seeing significant premature aging, meaning your body and the skin are literally deteriorating faster than they normally would. We're also seeing severe, stubborn acne outbreaks in young people. And honestly, even scarier, there are documented risks for neurodegenerative disorders, plus some very serious compounding heart problems. So let's break down the actual chemicals driving this damage. First up is vitamin E acetate. This is a chemical compound found inside vapes that just progressively builds up inside you. Over time, it slowly creates this damaging layer. Dr. Kaiser actually describes it as thick scarring or cards forming directly on your lungs. And guys, this isn't just a temporary cough. This leads to irreversible respiratory damage. This really hits the nail on the head regarding the big illusion of vaping. Just because there's no traditional tobacco absolutely doesn't mean there's no danger. Take propylene glycol, for example. It's another common vape ingredient highlighted in the analysis, and it carries significant, documented risks of causing lung cancer and severe brain damage. That's a highly potent chemical entering the human body with every single puff. And we definitely have to talk about the nicotine. Vapes usually contain incredibly high, concentrated levels of nicotine, often way higher than a standard cigarette. This dangerously spikes your blood pressure and shoots your adrenaline levels right through the roof. Constantly riding that kind of intense chemical roller coaster puts a massive, unsustainable amount of stress on your heart. It's also super important to consider the people around you. Dr. Kaiser makes a huge point of this. Sitting with your spouse or your kids while you vape is really damaging to them. Secondhand vaping exposes the people you love to those exact same synthetic chemicals. Honestly, it's essentially no different than trapping your family in a room filled with thick cigarette smoke. Let's transition to section 4, cigarettes versus vapes, comparing the chemicals. To really wrap our heads around this modern cigarette, we need to look at the hard numbers. A traditional cigarette packs over 4,000 chemicals into its smoke, including more than 70 known carcinogens created by tar and combustion.
Now, a disposable vape drops that total down to about 84 active synthetic ingredients. Sure, it gets rid of the tar, so you don't get those stained teeth or yellow fingers, but it brings in a terrifying new cocktail: heavy metals, propylene glycol, and extreme nicotine concentrations.
So essentially, you're just making a chemical trade-off. Vapes do manage to eliminate notorious cigarette poisons like hydrogen cyanide, arsenic, and tar. But as Dr. Kreiser points out, you aren't actually removing the danger. You're simply swapping out the old toxins for new ones, like lung-scarring acetates, heavy metals, and massive vascular stress. This brings us to our final part, Section 5, the illusion of looking cool, a psychological critique. Moving beyond just the biology, we really have to ask ourselves, why on earth are we so endlessly obsessed with these hazardous trends? The behavioral timeline is pretty clear. For decades, society totally ignored the massive cancer warnings on cigarettes. Then, in the 2010s, we shifted over to shisha culture, which carries even higher toxic risks. And now, in the 2020s, well, we haven't learned a thing. We've just graduated to the disposable vape. It's the exact same habit, just wearing a new disguise. Which leads Dr. Kaiser to ask an incredibly provocative and honestly kind of hilarious question. Are we descendants of dinosaurs? I mean, think about it. We have this bizarre obsession with needing to forcefully blow giant clouds of vapor out of our mouths just to feel relaxed or to fit in. Like, why do we feel so compelled to mimic a fire-breathing dragon just to socialize with our friends? He emphasizes that blowing smoke or vapor doesn't actually make anyone look cooler, more fashionable, or more attractive. It just doesn't. Whether you're a guy or a girl, blowing synthetic smoke is nothing more than an illusion of style. It's a completely manufactured trend that is coming at a deadly biological price. So we're going to leave you with this one vital thought to chew on. Look past those sweet flavors, the bright colors, and the so-called fashion statement. Really ask yourself, is this fleeting desire to look trendy actually worth the heavy metals, the extreme blood pressure spikes, and the irreversible scarring that's happening inside your lungs right now? Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and please, make sure to share this information with anyone who might be caught up in the spectacle. Catch you next time.